Hey guys, it's party time. Welcome to another episode of the Chad Prather Show. It is going to be a good day today. You know, you hear me talk all the time about a parallel economy. Going out there, whether it is the banking industry, whether it is the entertainment industry, the places that you shop, where you spend your money, it is crucial that you make sure that you support your values with your dollars. There's a lot of people out there who have experienced everything from cancel culture to deplatforming, demonetization. And every now and then you have folks who will step up and risk their own platform to say, you know what, I know what the truth is, I know what my values and my convictions are, and I'm going to throw caution to the wind because you can't cancel me. And one of those voices that I've admired for so long is my buddy John Rich. And, you know, John, welcome to the program. First of all, I love that room you're sitting in right there. We've had some good times in that room. How are you doing, brother?
I could not be better. I would say better than I deserve, without a doubt, man. It's with all the craziness going on in the world, there are ways to find order in the chaos.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're opening with right now. But I'm doing good, man. My two sons just started 6th grade and 8th grade, so that's a lot of fun. Just doing a bunch of shows with Big Kenny, and now I've got a new record coming out. So, I mean, I have nothing to complain about. Happy to be an American.
You know, John, you could spend the rest of your life, the rest of your career, just making a profession out of being a country music legend, right? You've had a storied career. You've got a long history. You've got the name. You've got the brand. All these things that you've done to be, quite honestly, a Nashville icon. And you are consistently one who says, you know what? Buck the system. I'm going to tell the things the way they are, and I'm going to come out fighting. And you catch the hate for it. You catch the garbage that comes out there. When you're listening to the voices in the wind, does that affect you? How does that play out in your day-to-day life?
By voices in the wind, you mean the ones that are firing the torpedoes?
Yeah, the naysayers.
The ones that are coming after you. So I would say early on, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when I came out swinging and just saying what was really on my mind, all that started coming at me, and it bothered me in the beginning. But in the last 2, 3, 4 years now, I look at hatred for what I stand for and what I have to say as validation that I said it correctly. Yeah, I think I would be lost if I had no one sending back tidal waves of negativity and hate, which is really how we're supposed to be. I mean, listen, the original Americans, the founding fathers, that whole crew back then, they had tons of hate coming at them, not just from the British Empire, their own countrymen. A lot of them did not want to fight the Revolutionary War. They didn't want to take that on. They're like, nah, let's just figure out a way to get along without a war. And so the ones that were writing the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution said, yeah, we're never going to have freedom if we don't. And they had to buck their system too. People forget that, but that's really was the atmosphere back then. So for me, I look out and I see the way this system has been built. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or otherwise, we're all part of this system. Eventually it crushes everybody on one level or another. So I look at the success that I've been given and I think, well, how is that even possible? I mean, the only way a guy like me, high school diploma, grew up in a double wide trailer in Amarillo, Texas, nothing fancy in my pedigree. The only reason I've had this success is because I have the right to pursue happiness, which is guaranteed and talked about under the Declaration of Independence. We're the only country that's ever acknowledged that. And so take advantage of it. So anybody that stands in the way of the right to pursue happiness and exhaust your potential has to be called out. And unfortunately, right now in this year, in 2023, the whole system is that way. We're seeing it play out, whether it's the justice system, the banking system, the political systems, all of that. It's one gigantic system that we're all caught up in. And so, yeah, I go out of my way to try to break through that because I got kids coming too. Everybody's got kids coming in the next generation. We got to try to figure out a new way to do it around here.
You look at the world we live in today, and people are. You mentioned the signers of the Declaration of Independence. They were, in essence, signing their own death warrant. They knew the risk that they were taking in putting their name on that piece of parchment. These days, people are too scared They're too comfortable to go out and truly make a difference. And if you do put out truth, then people are offended. Now, you got a new song out. You got a new video out called I'm Offended. And you just poked the bear right in the eye with this thing. Tell me about this project. Tell me about this song.
Well, first of all, nobody loves a good laugh better than you or me. I know that for a fact, man. We love to laugh and try to find comedy and humor, even in the catastrophe sometimes. You try to find something that's funny. And I look out at the world, Chad, and I go, there's nothing funny going on at all. I mean, every time I wake up, I get that first cup of coffee, you open your laptop or you turn on the TV, it's just, come on, man. There's got to be a break in the action at some point. So I put together a whole new record, 10 songs. It's called The Country Truth. And the first song, which is going to come out this Friday, is called I'm Offended. And basically, it's making fun of the culture that we all live in. I'm offended that you're offended. Let's all get offended tonight. I'll order us a beer and we can sit down right here and scream and yell and cuss and fuss and fight. Like, that's how stupid it is because, yeah, we disagree on stuff and everybody gets offended about something, it seems like, every 5 minutes. But the bigger picture is, yeah, but we're all still Americans. Let's have a beer and just get offended at each other for a minute and then move on down the road. So that's what the song's about. I don't know anybody else with a song like this one. To me, it seemed like a perfect time to put something out for people to get a little grin on their face.
Yeah, a few months ago, I think I was down in Galveston in the middle of the day, and I get this text message from you, and you had done this little demo of it, and I said, okay, first of all, what are you going to do with that song? Because if you ain't cutting it, I know a guy. And you said, no, we're going to do something with it. It's a phenomenal song, and it's a phenomenal message. And, our country was founded on the ability to dialogue and debate and disagree and to discuss some things and then come back together for the betterment of what the country's all about. These days, we're at each other's throats. We're going to go to a break in a minute, but I want your take on this. Do you think that music and let's say comedy as well, I've always said that I think they have a certain power. Do you think they have the ability anymore to be able to bring people back together, or are we just a lost cause at this point?
I think music and comedy, the two things you mentioned, are probably the most effective things because people are susceptible to laughing. It opens them up a little bit. When that laugh comes out, that means something came in and cracked them open a little bit. That's why they call it, I'm cracking you up right now. You're cracking me up. Yeah, that's what that means. And music, when you put that melody behind it and you make it really succinct, it sticks in their head and they're singing it to themselves. It's extremely powerful. And you've seen the industries even try to cut down our singers, cut down our comedians. Thank God I'm not owned by anyone. I don't have a record deal or a publishing deal. I'm as independent as a guy can possibly be. And that's the most freedom an artist can have. So, yeah, I hope songs like mine. My last one was called Progress. It had that kind of an effect on people. I'm Offended, though. That's all about having a big laugh at what's going on and give everybody a little break.
Yeah. And as an artist that's come out and just kind of poked the bear every now and then, you've had great success in that. I want to talk to you when we come back about this kid that all of a sudden has popped on the scene, this Oliver Anthony kid, which is just like, boom, all of a sudden, hey, here's a country boy singing country music, and it's got the world pissed off. So don't go anywhere, John. Hang tight real quick. Before we go to break, we're just days away from the Durban Accords. That's the greatest threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in the past 80 years. On August 22nd, that's Tuesday, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're expected to announce the launch of a new international super currency, which is fully backed by gold or other commodities. It's part of their long-term plan to supplant the U.S. And the dollar as the cornerstones of the global financial system. You can protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout of this landmark announcement by diversifying with gold with Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold's been the safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is, well, right now. You can get a free info kit on gold IRAs and decide for yourself if a tax-sheltered retirement account backed by physical precious metals is right for you. Text the word CHAD, I spell it Chad, to 989898. There's a monumental shift happening among the nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP, and it kicks off August 22nd. You need to arm yourself with information to protect your retirement savings. Text Chad to the number 989898. Claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. We'll be right back. All right, we're hanging out with John Rich, and John, it's hard to have a conversation with you without sipping on a little Redneck Riviera. I don't know what to do with myself right now, but dude, and by the way, if you guys aren't drinking Redneck Riviera whiskey, that's the stuff. That is the stuff. We sat in that room right there. I don't know how many bottles we went through one day, but it was a good day, brother. It was a good day. This Oliver Anthony kid comes out of Virginia or whatever, and this song goes viral. And I'm listening to this song that just pops out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, I can hear the authenticity in this guy's voice, and it resonates with a lot of people. Now they're trying to villainize him, and it popped off on Twitter. People were talking about you producing some stuff with him. What's happening with that? Is that going to be a thing? You going to work on a project with him, or do we know yet?
Well, so, I've had several conversations with him on the phone, long periods of time, texting back and forth. I mean, the guy literally goes from singing out in the woods and loading a little video onto his YouTube channel where he still had his email listed on his YouTube channel. I mean, he was just glad that anybody liked his music at that point. And then, a couple of us saw it. I saw it. Bongino ran across it. He's like, "Have you seen this guy?" I said, "I just saw it." I said, it's one of the most jarring things I've ever seen in a really profound way.
Yeah.
So I posted it, you posted it, we all started posting it. And what do you know? I think the guy's got 70 million views. Something crazy has happened with this guy. But I think the reason that song is so big, it's not only the lyrics of the song, but it is what the guy sounds like and looks like as he's performing it.
Yeah.
Americans are exasperated. Americans are shredded. Americans are exhausted, and they're pissed off, and they're sad, and they're all these things rolled up into one. After all these years, from the pandemic on to this very second, it just never ends. And this guy's voice and the way he sounded and the way he emoted those lyrics, I think struck a chord with lots of people. I mean, I went on YouTube looking at some reaction videos just to see what people are saying. There's all kinds of people, I promise you, that are not conservatives that are listening to the song and going, everything that guy just said is absolutely true.
Yeah.
And so now he's experiencing the buzzsaw. The entire music industry in Nashville has been coming after him. And I explained to him on the phone, I said, if you had a record deal and recorded that exact song and made that exact video, nobody would have ever heard it. There's no way in hell a record label would ever let that song see the light of day. So thank God you're independent. I've been telling him, stay independent.
Yeah.
Don't do contracts. Don't do anything. Follow your gut, man. Stay independent, because the second you sign up with a big company, they're going to start cutting you apart and editing you, and it won't be the same situation. And he listens. He's actually was on that page already. This morning I texted him. I said, "Well, man, how's it going?" He said, "Well, I'm just trying to stay quiet and stay in the Bible." That's what he said. "I'm staying quiet and I'm staying in the Bible."
That's good.
I said, that's a good place to be. So he really is that guy. I mean, he's dealing with a lot right now. So I hope he can keep it together, and I hope he's got other good people around him he can lean on.
Yeah, from the viral perspective, I made the comment the day it happened. I said, he's about to have a lot of good things come his way and a lot of bad things, and I hope he's ready for that. And so I'm thankful that you guys have rallied around him in the way that you have, and good for him. Again, they're setting him up as some kind of political ideologue pawn, and I'm like, the guy's not political at all. He just wrote a protest song that just has the anointing on it. I don't know any other way to put it. I mean, it's just like God put his finger on the thing, and boom, it's blessed,
When he says, your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed no end, because the rich man up north of Richmond. I mean, everybody's dollars aren't worth anything, and everybody's getting the hell taxed out of them. Everybody. So, yeah, that's a popular song. Listen, you're seeing the biggest songs right now from Aldine, Try That in a Small Town, now to the Richmond, north of Richmond. And I honestly think my song, I'm Offended, is going to be one of those. I think it's different than those other two because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, matter of fact. But it pushes the same button of, that's what we all look at every day. Just nobody's putting that into a song before.
Yeah.
So I think we actually, as independent artists, me and him, and even Aldine, who is on a record label but just does what he wants to, that attitude has got to come forward and be heard and stand up. And it doesn't just have to be famous people, Chad. It can be anybody listening to this interview. You got a voice too. Stop being scared to use it. If the founding fathers had a spirit of fear, we wouldn't even have a country to be arguing about right now. So remember where you come from. step out there and say what you mean.
Yeah, and that parallel economy, parallel entertainment, parallel culture, all of these things, I look at you as being a significant voice in all of those things right now as an artist, as a businessman. I don't know if people realize it or not. John Rich is an incredible businessman, and I mean, anybody that's paying attention should know that. And I'm happy to say that now you're a banker. You got Old Glory Bank, man. That's a new project that's coming along. I'm intrigued by this. What's going on with that?
That's a really, really important thing. So we all saw the trucker protest in Canada a couple years back, and it didn't matter what Trudeau did; they were not going to leave until they were ready to leave. So the last move Trudeau pulled on them was he told all the banks to freeze their bank accounts. So if you were out there and you wouldn't leave, you're a trucker, they'll freeze your bank account. They'll freeze the bank account of the company that you drive for. If you own a tow truck company and you refuse to tow the trucks away, they'll freeze your bank account. They just started mass freezing people's bank accounts. Well, that broke their backs. So they eventually got up and left. They said, well, they froze all of our accounts. The same thing has happened in Brazil. The same thing just happened in England. Nigel Farage just had his accounts frozen and family members' accounts frozen. So Ben Carson, Larry Elder, myself, a bunch of guys behind the scenes as well that come from the banking industry that understand it very well. We had this conversation of, hey, we need to set up something where that can't happen, where you're not going to have your bank account weaponized against you for exercising your constitutional rights. And people misunderstand this all the time. They say, well, if the federal government tells Old Glory Bank to freeze Chad Prather's bank account because they don't like something he did, the bank has to do that. I said, no, they don't. The bank has a decision at that point. They can say, okay, yes, we'll freeze his bank account. Or they can say, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Okay, I'll see you in the courtroom.
Yeah.
I'll see you at court. And most banks don't have the fortitude to do that, to tell the federal government to go jump in the river. I'll see you in a courtroom. But Old Glory Bank will. And so the whole credo behind the bank is you will never be punished for exercising your constitutional rights. And it's pretty pathetic that you have to have a situation like this built. But that is the situation we're in. People want to run for the hills, Chad. They're like, where do we run? We got to get out of here. But the enemy owns all the hills. They bought all the real estate. Where are you going to go? You're going to leave your bank and go to another bank? Okay, well, they're the same exact situation you were just in if it come down to brass tacks, the federal government leaning on them. So oldglorybank.com is where you go to set up an account. We've now got tens of thousands of people coming in. We just started doing small business loans. This is not the billionaires bank. This is the blue collar mom and pop small business bank for people that are concerned that at some point the federal government may do what other governments have already done.
Old Glory Bank. Folks need to pay attention to that, get involved with that, support it. This is what we're talking about, folks. This is what we're talking about. And go to where your music is offered and get the song I'm Offended. Watch the video, check it out. I wanted to come be a part of the video. I can't remember now what happened, but you guys invited me out and I couldn't make it. But dude, I'm proud to call you friend. I'm proud of everything you're doing, John. And man, just keep kicking that ass. That's all I know. Just keep plugging away, getting up and doing it with excellence, brother.
Hey, I'm a happy warrior just like you, man. My life is great. I enjoy my life. And we look at this country and we see things that are really, really wrong and upside down. And I'm telling you, you can still be a happy person and fight at the same time. It can be done, and that's the attitude we should have. Yeah.
Well, check out the music, get the song, all the other stuff that's going on. I'm looking forward to so many cool things that are coming along. And if you guys get an opportunity to go see Big and Rich in concert, I think you should go see Big and Rich in concert. So God bless you, buddy. I'm in Nashville the next couple of weeks. Maybe I'll run into you. We'll have some of that Redneck Riviera whiskey, brother.
Give me a holler. I'd love to see you, buddy.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Talk soon. Thanks, John. All right, guys, every day we hear about another familiar brand selling out their customers and going woke. Americans are sick and tired of having leftist propaganda jammed into every product they consume. Well, woke mobile companies are no different. For years, they've been dumping millions into liberal causes, and we've just had to take it because you need a cell phone, and you probably thought there wasn't an alternative. Well, I've got some news for you. There is an alternative, and I want you to make the switch today. Patriot Mobile, they're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They offer dependable nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. So you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to in your area, minus the leftist propaganda. So when you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, Second Amendment, our military veterans and first responder heroes, and their 100% U.S.-based customer service team will make switching easy. So keep your phone, keep your number too. Just go to patriotmobile.com/chat or give them a call, 878-PATRIOT. You get free activation today with the offer code CHAD. I spell it Chad. Ask about their coverage guarantee while you're there. Get the same dependable service. Take a stand for your values. Make the switch today. That's patriotmobile.com/Chad or call them at 878-PATRIOT. We'll be right back. All right, another game changer that I want to introduce to you. In fact, a lot of times people will come to our shows and they hear us talk about an organization called Wheelchairs for Warriors. I talk about it. Jesse Payton talks about it. It's a great organization that does a lot of great things, and they do a lot of good for a lot of different types of people. And the person responsible for Wheelchairs for Warriors, Crystal Laramore. Welcome to the program.
Well, hello. Thank you.
How are you? People just thought you were a myth. They're like, there's no organization called Wheelchairs for Warriors. What are you talking about?
There's an organization, and I'm not the only person responsible. So my co-conspirator, Heidi Hansing.
Heidi Hansing. Is it her birthday?
It's her birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Heidi. Happy birthday to you. Oh, well.
She will appreciate that. Yeah. She'll save that. She'll download
She's awesome.
it. We'll sell it. We're going to sell it on eBay.
Heidi, I love you, and I miss you. Happy birthday. And wish you were here. We'd go get cake or something.
Yeah.
So tell me about this organization. I love it.
I know you do. And we appreciate your support. And Jesse, and we're trying to get you to some things, We got the Red Pill comedy thing happening, and we have a commercial filming, and Chad's just busy being Chad.
I know.
Yeah.
Crystal said to me, she goes, you know who we got to do the part that you were going to do? Alan West. And I was like, oh, Alan.
Alan's always supporting us.
Camera hog.
Whatever. Alan's always supporting us.
Yeah.
He shows up for everything.
He shows up.
He does. He shows
well, that's
up.
because Alan doesn't have a schedule. Alan doesn't have, he's not high in demand like I am. I'm a major celebrity at this point. You never know with me.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a miracle that I'm even here.
It really is.
It is.
It's my miracle alone, by the way. It's all mine. The miracle is mine.
You have a background of, you were a chef.
Yeah.
And you're just a cool chick.
Aww.
And you decide that, hey, let's get wheelchairs for people who need them.
Yeah. So I was in Baghdad in 2004 and 5 with the State Department. And while I was there, I saw a lot. I saw kids get blown up, and they're kids. And it's shocking, when you go there and they're 18, 19,
right.
20. They're young kids, and they're getting blown up, and they're coming into the CASH, which is the military hospital. I've prayed with their teammates over them. I've seen Iraqi citizens blown up. I mean, I've seen a lot. And when I came home, I had the restaurant when I left. I came back, I still had the restaurant. And when I came back for about a year, you just don't want anybody to talk to you because you've just been in, bombs and bad stuff happening for 2 years. So for about a year, I just didn't even really want to talk to anybody. And then after that happened, I started writing an article. A newspaper had asked me if I wanted to write about it. And, God's perfect timing, Chad, this. It's just one of those moments that happens. The story came out of my head. I sent it to the guy at the newspaper that owned the newspaper. It was Montgomery County News, where you live.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started, really letting out my feelings and, sharing what I had witnessed. And I wanted to give back in some way and continue that service. And I shadowed a lot of nonprofits, military or veteran specific nonprofits. And during that time, and it was about 5 or 6 years, I realized that they weren't ran really well, that there was a lot of money going somewhere.
People have no idea how rampant that is among nonprofits, particularly ones that cater towards veterans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think in America, my numbers are right, it's a few years old, but I think there's about 600,000 501c3s that are, and a very small percentage of that actually does any legitimate good.
Right. And it was shocking to me. And I was at the time raising money for politicians, and they all tend to just not tell the truth.
Yeah.
And so I was very frustrated. So I wanted to, pivot and put my efforts towards raising money for those who served us, serving those who served us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a huge passion. My whole family is military. I come from a family steeped in the tradition of serving America. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution. So the pride runs deep.
Sure.
And I was shocked at what was going on inside these nonprofits, and big ones. You'd know them all. You would know everyone that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so Heidi and I were having dinner one day, and she was complaining about a nonprofit she was working for, trying to get hired on. And they were like, well, Sugar, can't you just do this for us for free? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're asking me to do work. And the Bible says, fair wages for fair work, right?
Yeah.
Get paid for your work.
Workman's worthy of his hire.
That's right. Oh, that's probably the more proper scripture. I was ad-libbing
Don't
a little bit.
muzzle the oxen that treads the grain. It's another one.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
And so we were just both complaining to each other. And I grew up in a military family that says you've got 60 seconds to complain and then come up with the fix.
Mm.
That's it. We're done, And I looked at her and I said, hey, why don't we just start our own nonprofit? And she said, okay, how? I said, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if these guys can do it, you and I can do it.
Yeah, if that bunch of yahoos can do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a jarhead can do it, certainly we can do it. And so that's kind of how it began. And we didn't really know what we wanted it to be. And a good friend of ours is a rehab seating clinic for wheelchairs for workman's comp cases, not anything to do with veterans. His father was a veteran in a wheelchair. He's passionate about people in wheelchairs. We were taking him to events, military events, while we were trying to figure out what we want our nonprofit to be. And he kept saying, hey, that's a Marine that was blown up in Iraq and he's in a terrible wheelchair. That's not the right wheelchair for him.
Wow.
Hey, that guy's a Purple Heart recipient. He's in a wheelchair. That's not the right wheelchair. Hey, that's a Medal of Honor recipient. That man is 80 years old. That's not the right wheelchair for him. Hey, and I was just like, dude, not my business. I mean,
right.
Love it that you're focused on it. Not my business. And one day, the sledgehammer from God comes over the head and I went, oh, wheelchairs for warriors.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And we've never slowed down. Every door's been opened.
Yeah.
People
I think
come to our aid.
And you've educated me on this because I think a lot of people say, well, a wheelchair is a wheelchair. I mean, you just sit in it. And that's the deal. I mean, you just sit in a wheelchair and that's what you do. You roll around and to sound, crass and elemental, I think that's what the average person out there thinks that's what's involved. It's just like, as I got involved with wounded warrior people, men and women who were coming back and they'd lost a leg. And I was like, well, you just put a prosthetic on them and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not it at all. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's, long periods of rehab and therapy
Mm-hmm.
and fittings and trial and error and getting
Mm-hmm.
everything just right. And that wheelchair becomes an extension of that person. It's part of them. It's their life. It's their day to day. And when you and I, we've talked about it, and it's like when you find out, why can't you just go out and buy a wheelchair?
$300 wheelchair. Why do y'all need donations?
Yeah,
corporate donations.
$300-$400, you got a wheelchair, right? No, these wheelchairs can be $50,000-$60,000. I mean,
right.
It's insane.
It's insane.
When and you have these people, they don't have the means to go out and get that type of care. Why is it so expensive?
Well, probably it's an insurance issue is why
Mm-hmm.
it's so expensive. The lightweight carbon fiber or titanium wheelchairs run us anywhere from $3,500 to $7,500. And then if we want to put a smart drive system on it for, like, say, our United States Marine Corps veteran, Jacob McWhorter, who got toxins from the burn pits, the VA had him labeled at 10% disability. He couldn't get a job. His bones popped out of joint all the time. 10% disabled. Couldn't work. Couldn't roll his wheelchair with his arms because his shoulders would pop out of joint. Right. So we sent our rehab seating specialist to see him, and we gave him a lightweight titanium wheelchair with a Bluetooth, a smart drive system that he could tap his Bluetooth watch that comes with it. That's another $9,500. So by the time you outfit him, pay for seating specialist, you're almost $20,000 in.
Yeah.
For a regular wheelchair. We also do like if you're blown up, chances are you don't sit properly. Your spine's crooked, whatever. So we put a little thing underneath them. It's real thin. It's a heating sensor. They sit on it. These are technical terms, things. I just want you to, I'm not the engineer.
That's very engineering minded of you, Crystal. Yeah.
The thingies, the little thin plastic thingies.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they're called. It's not my job. But they sit on it and it's heat mapping. And then it tells the rehab seating specialist how to build the seat. Does the seat need to be like this? And the seat is like a air number mattress, like it has all these little fingers with airs in it, air in it. And they sit on it and it makes them straight again. So that might be $600 to $1,500 for a seat. Did you hear that? For a seat.
You're a redneck.
I'm in Dallas.
Yeah. It's a redneck episode. We had John Rich on. I call him my redneck cousin. We call each other redneck cousins. And you just came out here and just showing it.
Said fur.
Fur.
I love it.
You go out, you're out in public and you see somebody tooling through there, and they're in a wheelchair, right? And you want to show them respect. You want to give them. In fact, we went to the baseball game. We went to the Texas Rangers game last week, and I make the jokes, So I said, the best seating in here is the handicap accessible.
That's right.
Deal. I'm going to get me a wheelchair and roll in here because people are just getting out of their way. They're catering to them. They're bringing them things, doing all these kind of deals. And you make that tongue-in-cheek joke. You don't want to lessen what these people are dealing with or what they go through. But you see so many veterans, and I hear the stories. You hear the stories. These are the war stories that shouldn't be war stories. These are the ones where they come home and the real tragedy begins.
Right.
Because, as you said, they've got to deal with the VA. They've got to deal with the insurance companies. They've got to deal with debilitating disabilities that are already happening. They've got to overcome the emotional stress, the PTSD in a lot of things, in a lot of cases. The last worry they should have is how they're going to be mobile and how that's going to be paid for. It seems like such a simple thing, but it's neglected.
It seems like our tax dollars
are
going into the VA that has billions of dollars.
Yes.
And that if no man left behind is going to be the mantra on the battlefield, what about the home field? Yeah. What about no man left behind? Because they're being left behind when they get home. That's why a man rolls up to a VA and sets himself on fire. That's why tragedies happen. That's why we don't have 22 veterans a day committing suicide. We have 44 veterans a day committing suicide. That's why, is because they are being left behind. And it is shocking to me. It makes my heart sick when these American heroes call me and they're broken. And listen, like you said, a wheelchair is everything. It's an extension of them. So they are using it as a sofa. They're using it as a bed sometimes, as their recliner to watch TV, as the thing that's going to get them to the park or to the beach. And one wheelchair isn't going to do all of that. And we just had an epiphany one day. I have a question for you. Do you have more than one pair of cowboy boots?
I do.
Do you? I have more than one pair of silver heels.
Yeah.
Let's just start there. I've got 20 pair of cowboy boots. Well, maybe not 20, at least 5.
Yeah. I probably have 20.
Maybe 10. You probably have 20.
Yeah.
I've given some away just to, make myself feel better.
Same. Yeah.
So should they just get one wheelchair? What about if today they want to play basketball with their son and tomorrow they want to go hunting and fishing with their father?
Right.
Or their grandfather. And then in the house, you can't bring the zero-turn wheelchair in the house, right? The wife is like, you're not messing up my floors or my carpet,
Yeah.
So that's a different wheelchair. And so sometimes we're serving these guys more than once.
Yeah.
And it is the VA's duty to do this. And it's not every VA doesn't fail. And, we started out trying to not trash the VA, not talk bad about it. We just tried.
Yeah.
And we just, they're doing it to themselves.
After a while, it's glaring.
Yeah, people are like, well, why are you needed?
Yeah. All right, hang on. We're going to talk some more. We're going to go to a break. Because I know we lose people at the break. The website, wheelchairsforwarriors.org. So I know sometimes people peel off at the break. So I want to go ahead and put it out there, wheelchairsforwarriors.org. Support, give, contribute, get involved, all the different things. We'll talk more in the next segment about how you can do that. But I like having Crystal around. We give each other a hard time, so it'll be good. We got some stuff to talk about.
Let's do it.
All right. Since the early days of Blaze TV, we've been fortunate to work with the team over at Relief Factor. They brought an unknown anti-inflammatory to the marketplace that they tried out in their hometown, and it showed a remarkable ability to reduce pain for a lot of different types of chronic ailments. I use Relief Factor. It is an all-natural alternative to pain medications that I think is a great alternative to be able to keep yourself pain-free. Inflammation is not only the chief cause of pain, but it's also a factor in many other diseases, and I feel better that Relief Factor is always working to keep my inflammation markers in check. Hundreds of thousands of people order Relief Factor every month. About 70% reorder it because it works, and you can order a trial pack right now for $19.95 to see if it will work for you and reduce your pain. So go to relieffactor.com, or you can call them on the phone, 800-4-RELIEF. That's for folks that are just feeling lonely. I just got to call Relief Factor. 800-4-RELIEF. But give them a visit, relieffactor.com. Get the trial pack get the trial pack at relieffactor.com. We'll be right back. Do you keep up with the news a lot, or do you try to ignore it? How is your mind wired?
How is my mind? So I used to be a Fox News addict and Newsmax and Glenn Beck, everything. Like I did it all, and now I only stream on TV, but I do keep up with whatever will pop across my Instagram feed.
Yeah,
I'll listen. What are you going to talk about?
I don't know.
What you got?
I just checking. I was just thinking about. I don't know if you saw that. Trans woman, the guy who broke the Canadian powerlifting record last week. That's and then mocked him and said, hey, there's a good picture of him.
Yep.
It's different equipment there than most of the girls in the competition.
But surely there's some women out there as strong as him. Surely. We're all created equal, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he decimated them. I mean, and then mocked them, talking about, I don't understand why women are so weak at the bench press and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why. Well, it's what's swinging between your legs, buddy. I can tell you. It's the testosterone in there. We're built a little different. So the insanity of the world we're living in, it clouds out the important issues that are going on, right? It really does. I mean, we get so bombarded with lunacy like that. Then you try to tell people, and I know people get in these live feeds right here in the live chat on this show while they're watching it, and people want to be entertained. They want the latest headline that's fanciful and something we can mock and make fun of. But I have to deal with my inbox every day, and my inbox is full of real stories from real people who are suffering and struggling.
Right.
And a lot of these people, I get to know them. I know their stories. I've heard them. You can't with everybody because there's so many that come in. But it's amazing how many people out there just feel neglected and forgotten. You were telling me a story earlier about someone who, again, a wrong chair situation, flipped over backwards, hit their head on the concrete. Mm-hmm. And these are things that, things are going to happen, but things shouldn't happen.
That's
as
right.
regular as they do.
Yeah. And we try to get there before these situations happen. So we're the quick response team, and they're always our recipients, and we serve veterans and first responders. So that's why it's Wheelchairs for Warriors. And he was, Jamie is actually a veteran and a first responder. He was a thing in Kentucky, with technical word, state trooper. He was a state trooper in Kentucky. And he was shot in the back by one of his own during a stop. They were stopping a bank robber. Real life stuff going on out here. And he can't get a wheelchair from the VA. He's not injured in the line of duty from being a veteran. He can't get a wheelchair from Workman's Comp because they've dumped him, because his job is dangerous. You knew the situation when you took the job. I don't know what is going on with his health care, but it is a shit show. Not good. And so here he is trying to get up a ramp, and the ramp wasn't built well, and it had a bump in the front, and his chair flipped over backwards, and he hit his head on the concrete. And we're checking in with him right now, making sure that he's okay. We have a specific fundraiser going on for him. We've built one chair for him, and we're coming in with the second power chair. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And but meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's give a lot of money to the illegals coming across the border. Let's give some money to Ukraine, who isn't their spokesperson, their military spokesperson, a chick?
The one they just came out with,
or a dude dressed like a chick
that's talking about Vladimir Putin, drinking people's blood and bathing in the blood of children.
Right. And here's the thing: it's like, I mean, I get it, that's happening, but this is happening in our country.
I've always said that you want to affect things like Ukraine. You want to do things in third world countries. You want to do humanitarian aid at our southern border. The light that shines the farthest away shines the brightest at home. So if you have a bright light at home, it will reach other places. It will reach these other countries and these other nations. It's not that those things, to your point, it's not that those things don't matter. They do matter. But if we're not taking care of those who have willingly served us to make the ultimate sacrifice. And I love that you guys, it's not just veterans, it is first responders. This is people, you've told me numerous stories over time about people who were, wounded as police officers at a traffic stop, and they get hit by a car, or, the person runs and they're hung onto the vehicle or something like that. And we talk about the veterans, but there's a lot more than that. There's a lot of heroes among us.
There are a lot of heroes among us, and there are a lot of angels among us.
Yeah.
And it's not all doom and gloom. We've never had to turn a veteran down. We've had we've probably had
That's amazing.
160, I should say we've never turned a warrior down. We've had over 160 applicants, and we've served all of them in 7 short years. And that is because, of private donations. We're not taking money from the government.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we try to do. We try to keep it on the tip of our tongue. When we're on a stage in front of an audience, and we have people all the time who say, "What are you involved with?" I've heard Jesse do it numerous times, and Jesse's a nut. Jesse's crazy, but he's our crazy, right?
Cray.
And so, Jesse is always faithful to say, "Wheelchairs for Warriors." If you want to be a part of that, that's the place where the money needs to go, and you guys are just. You're doing a phenomenal thing. You really are. I mean, it's a niche charity, right? It's very specific. Nobody else is doing that. And so
what we're doing.
Yeah, it's very specific. And like I said earlier, I've watched people who have gone through trying to get the right chair or trying to get a prosthetic, and it's such a tedious, mind-numbing, depressing process.
One of the every time you say the word prosthetic, I remember a story. One of my first lessons is Eric Morante. He's a United States Marine Corps veteran, blown up in Baghdad. Luckily, no one in his unit died. Since then, there's been some suicides, but they're at the moment. And so Eric is missing his right leg. It could be his left. I think it's his right leg. He always corrects me. I'm like, I don't see that you're missing legs, so there's the good news.
Yeah.
And he has a prosthetic. Well, he called us for a wheelchair, and we met him at SHOT Show, actually. And we were like, you have a prosthetic. Why do you need a wheelchair? Right? Wouldn't you just automatically, who would want a wheelchair if you have a prosthetic and you can walk?
Right.
And he explained to us that his leg is cut off right here. And so he has a stump, and that when he wears his prosthetic, it irritates his stump. And if he doesn't give that stump some relief and sit down in a wheelchair, it'll just keep eroding that, and they'll keep cutting it off until it's so short that he won't be able to put a prosthetic on it. And we were like, oh, and the VA won't give you one? And it's his left leg, because I got it now. I got it. He got blown up on the left side, so they reconstructed the left side of his face.
Yeah.
He shattered his left shoulder. His left leg was amputated, and the VA gave him this 52-pound huge clunker that wouldn't even fit through the doors at his mom's house in Houston. And what he needed to do was get in his truck that he can drive, reach down, pick up his wheelchair, and put it in the back of the truck. Go on about his day, and he couldn't even lift it.
Wow.
And so we were like, okay, we got you. So we built him a lightweight titanium 14-pound wheelchair that he can pick up with his shattered left arm and put in the back of his chair. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that we serve both genders. I really need to get that out there.
So much hate speech right there when you say both. Both.
We serve both genders.
Yeah. Not all 37,000 of them.
No, we serve them both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got an email from a foundation wanting to know if we served all genders. Yeah. And I said, we sure do. And I said in my email, yes, ma'am, we serve them both.
That's good. All right, Crystal Laramore, Wheelchairs for Warriors. You can find them at wheelchairsforwarriors.org. We're going to take a quick break. Hang tight, and don't you move, all right? Hey, there's a podcast I know you guys are going to like. You've heard me talk about it, and it's a crazy world we're living in. You're trying to make sense of it. People turn the truth upside down all the time. Kids are being misled. Marriages are falling apart. Christian values that hold this country together are going out the window. So you need to know the truth, and you need to have the opportunity to share the truth and equip yourself to do that. That's why the podcast Refocus with Jim Daly is so important. Jim Daly is the president of Focus on the Family, and if you don't know about Focus on the Family, it's time to take a good look at them. They're a great organization. They've been helping families follow their faith for over 40 years, and Jim has been the president of Focus on the Family for 20 of those years, so he's helped millions of people share God's truth. So he knows his stuff. On the Refocus podcast, Jim talks to experts about things that you probably deal with all the time, whether it's sharing your faith in cancel culture, dealing with woke politics, all the stuff that you argue about at Thanksgiving with your family. Fun stuff. So check out Refocus with Jim Daly. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. That's Refocus with Jim Daly, and we'll be right back. Crystal, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming up to DFW. Now we all get to turn around and go down to Houston.
That's right.
Go back home.
I'm from Hillsboro.
Yeah.
I'm from right here.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad, I have a
right
question
there where
for
35 splits.
Right there where it splits and it's all jacked up.
Yeah.
Buc-ee's? Did somebody say Buc-ee's?
Nah, Hillsboro's not Buc-ee.
That's not
Buc-ee's
Buc-ee
is
town.
in Ennis.
That's the Love's truck stop.
Love's truck stop in Hillsboro. You can
That's
go
right.
to all the shopping stuff. Is Hillsboro still got all that stuff there?
And it's all closed down.
Oh, it's all gone,
Amazon's
right?
closed down all the malls.
Yeah,
Nothing's fun anymore.
The little shopping malls still?
Yep.
No. I got a Buc-ee's in Ennis, and then there's one in Madisonville.
Yeah.
About an hour north of where I live.
Where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming up here. Yeah, we're going to do some more stuff. Hang on, I want to talk to you some more for overtime. But if you're not a subscriber to Blaze TV, you can't get overtime. You need to get overtime. And you do that by going to blazetv.com/Chad. Use promo code CHAD. It will save you on an annual subscription. Listen, we've been talking about parallel economies and parallel culture, parallel entertainment, independent broadcasting, all these different things that John talked about, all these ways to get involved, as Crystal has talked about. Support us with at Blaze TV. Be a part of that family. And I want to encourage you guys to find me out on the road. WatchChad.com for all the fun stuff is. Jesse Payton and I, we're going to have 4 nights in Kansas City at the Comedy Club there coming up in September. So get your tickets now. And then I'm bouncing around some wild and nefarious places like South Dakota and Wyoming and all these other places before it gets too cold. Who knows? Might go up there and just stay after this 110-degree heat wave we've been enjoying here in Texas. But know that I love you guys. Check out John's new single, I'm Offended, and wheelchairsforwarriors.org. And we will be with you tomorrow. Love you. God bless you. Bye.
We need you and Jesse to do a show in